All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night, in the dusty recesses of their minds, wake in the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men. For they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.
Well, that's all real pretty, but what the hell's it mean in English?
It means be careful what you wish for. It might just get you. Perfect. Here we go.
Here's where I take some heat. Mass Effect 3 and Uncharted 3. Probably the two biggest award-winning titles of E3. Near the doors to the demo, they were like GameSpot, you know, E3, X-Play, all these guys had awards just covering the walls. Best of show, and deservedly so. And it took a long time to get in to see those games because everybody wanted to see Mass Effect 3. Everybody wanted to see Uncharted 3. Uncharted 3 was playable, and Mass Effect 3 obviously wasn't. Mass Effect was behind closed doors, and it took... I pity the fools. They honestly, nobody could get in but media. And I don't know how they were handling appointments, but they were... Apparently they made appointments early in the day. You had to have a ticket to get in to see Mass Effect, or at least you did on the third day. I went there first thing on the last day to try to get in line for that. They were letting 5 media in at a time because there were so many people with appointments. So I waited essentially an hour to get in there, and that was even with my magic media powers getting me in. Here's the thing about Mass Effect 3 and Uncharted 3. I am so excited to see these games. I cannot wait, as I'm sure you can't, if you liked Mass Effect at all, to play Mass Effect 3 and Uncharted 3, which are my favorite games, probably my favorite games on modern consoles. Really, on the next-gen consoles, those are my 2 favorite games. I could probably think of something else, but... and here's where I take heat, like I said. Those games are essentially exactly the same as the previous games in the installment, at least what I saw. I don't think I could name a single solitary difference between Mass Effect 3 and 2 and Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 2. Wow, it's really, really close. There are differences. In fact, let me see. I got my notes. Let me see. Okay, yeah. There are some new modes in Mass Effect 3. There's a point where you fly. There's a flying gun platform, which essentially plays out like a rail shooter. I don't know if I'd call that a new feature, but it was kind of cool to see. They did say that they're trying to make Shepard more mobile, and they're trying to give him more options in the game to approach problems. They said that they're introducing stealth elements where, you know, combat is not necessarily the only option. You can actually have Shepard sneak around. They also did a much more improved cover-to-cover movement, where you can kind of, you can angle yourself at the edge of cover and shoot straight towards another piece of cover. There's new weapon customization and weapon mods. It looks pretty robust. I actually rather like that. There's also, you get to see a female Krogan for the first time, which is kind of cool. What was interesting to me about Mass Effect 3, and I'm going to warn you, if you haven't finished 2 yet, I'm probably going to throw some spoilers. I will try to avoid it, but it's pretty much going to be unavoidable. There are certain characters that show up in Mass Effect 3 that could easily have died in 2. And I say that because my first playthrough as a Renegade, I got a great number of people killed in the last mission, and almost all of them are back in 3. So, and actually I'm kind of happy about that, because I know a lot of people who played Mass Effect 3 really wanted to get through it having everyone survive, and so I'm almost certain almost all of you out there played through it with a full survival run. My character had, I think the only guys who survived were, well, again, I don't want to go into spoilers, but only like 4 people survived, and probably not the people you'd think. But the characters who died are obviously in the demo, at least, for Mass Effect 3. So I'm actually kind of curious. I'm happy because my characters died, and so that might actually give me a significantly different playthrough in Mass Effect 3. I'm not really sure about that. I get the feeling that those characters will be like, oh, we brought them back too. We cloned them with the same thing we did with you, Shepard. Somebody in the chat room said that, and I'm like, yeah, okay. But I really hope that they find some way to make my experience a lot different, because like Morden's in Mass Effect 3, but he dies in almost every playthrough. You know, even if you're doing it right, you're trying to get like 100% completion. Morden it's really hard to keep Morden alive, but Morden's in the demo, so I'm like, how did they bring Morden back? I really don't know. The plot, the story is really what interests me with Uncharted and Mass Effect, because this whole thing against the Reapers is really coming to a head, and they really do a great job of building up the fact that this conflict that's taken the course of 3 games is coming to a head. It's very, very portentous, and there's a lot of drama and a lot of weight. You know, finally the Reapers have come, and we are fucked. You know, there's people dying left and right. People are making tragic, heroic sacrifices. Shepard is having to make these sacrifices. Shepard is seeing people that he's trying to save die before his eyes. It's fucking brilliant. So I guess if, before you give me heat about saying that I like Mass Effect 3, even though it's a sequel and almost nothing has changed, you're right. But I would say the significant difference there is that Mass Effect 3 has a very, very well-developed story that I want to see end, and I can't necessarily say that about a lot of Nintendo's franchises. I'm not going to go on another rant. I'm just saying I'm far more interested in the story and how that turns out, like I am with Uncharted. Really, Uncharted is one of those things where I don't really know that there's much to change. It's one of those kind of, I don't want to say parkour, but that kind of wall-crawling, almost Prince of Persia-like climbing and action-adventure. There's really not much to change. And again, it's the story that always kind of interested me in that. And the fact, and honestly, the multiplayer in Uncharted 2 anyway, is very good. I don't know if you've ever played the multiplayer, but it's worth checking out. I actually got stuck on, I lost so much time playing Uncharted 2's multiplayer for like 2 weeks. I was so hooked on that. It was very good. So, if you want confirmation of the 2 most hyped and award-laden games of E3, Uncharted 3 and Mass Effect 3, definitely worth the hype. I personally cannot wait. I have pretty much threw down my pre-order on Amazon, so yeah, it's worth it. It was worth the wait, really. I cannot come soon enough.
Shepard warned us they were coming, but we didn't listen. Now the fate of our world, of every world, rests in his hands.
need a plan to stop them.
We fight or we die. That's the plan.